Okay, so these are my top 10 most impressive Texas high school football players I've seen.
I wish I'd list music.
There are we need to list bed music. Okay. 2 caveats here.
Okay.
1, this is who I've seen live. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen every player live.
Yep.
That's for a fact. That also means that if you played before I was born, you can't be on this list. Furthermore, I am only I saw players before I got this job at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, but I'm only counting since I came to this job.
Right.
So since the 2011 season, I'll be the past 6 seasons.
Sure.
The most impressive players I've seen.
Okay.
Ready?
Right.
Let's start with number 10. Number 10, Throckmorton wide receiver Gary Farquhar. I'm going 6-man here, and this guy was a freak, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. When he was at Throckmorton, he was the most unstoppable receiver in the state. It was unbelievable. First of all, part of it is that he's 6'5".
Yes.
He's a monster, and he was a walking mismatch every time. You just throw it up to him, and he would come down with it. He was incredible. He was a 2012 6-man player of the year. Let's see. He as a senior, he caught 55 passes for 1,432 yards and 30 touchdowns.
Not bad.
Freak.
Yeah.
Freak. Gary Farquhar was a walking mismatch, and he is the 10th most impressive player I've ever seen.
Not bad.
Number 9, Spring Westfield defensive lineman Ed Oliver.
Well, this is a controversial pick.
Yeah. You're seeing what he's doing at Houston. I mean, he's eating as a freshman now.
Yeah.
And I will admit that I am inherently a skeptic, and when people start piling on like a one player and they say, dude, and the hype train gets going for one player, they go, dude, this kid's incredible.
Right.
I instinctively take a step back, and I'm like, no, okay, I'm not going to hop on this hype train. And then I saw Ed Oliver play, and he it's so difficult for a defensive lineman to be the best player on the field that you notice him.
Yeah.
And this kid wasn't just the best player on the field at Spring Westfield. He was the best player on the planet at that moment. I mean, this kid was incredible there, the defensive lineman. And now you saw what he did at Houston this year. He's only going to get better. Like, there were guys who were saying that he was NFL ready as a senior in high school. And honestly, I'm hard-pressed to argue with him.
Right.
So he's number 9 on my list.
Fair enough.
Number 8, Cameron Yo, running back Treon Smith. What I love about him was that he was so consistently excellent that you knew exactly what you're getting from Treon Smith. Now, part of that goes to the outstanding Cameron Yo offensive line, but we're talking about every game you could count on him. 25 carries, 180 to 200 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Every game. And he had the breakaway speed. He had the kind of shiftiness. I really, really liked watching Treon Smith run. And for him to do it as long as he did was really impressive. Be the bell cow for that Cameron Yo semi-dynasty. I don't know if back to back, or I guess 3 in a row. Right? They went 3 in a row.
Yes.
Although I don't think he was involved in the first one because he would have been a freshman. So
not as heavily involved.
Not as
probably
heavily
involved in some.
Yes, because Cameron Yo. But in any case, Treon Smith, the 8th most impressive player I've ever seen. Number 7, another running back, David Mora, the running back from Mason.
One of the greatest state title game performances ever.
That kid. And the thing is that state title game performance was just another game in his log.
Right.
David Mora, for those who don't remember, back in 2011, set a state I believe it still holds up. I want to make sure I've got this. But he set a state record for carries in a season. Something like 450. Let me see. Mora. 498. Almost 500 carries in 2000.
Is that all?
In 2010, and then he did it again. He was just as impressive in 2011, guiding them to a title. But David Mora was such a bell. He was the consummate bell cow. He was the guy that you just turned hand off. And the thing was, you knew he was getting the ball 40, 50 times a game.
Right.
You knew it was going to happen.
Couldn't stop him.
And you couldn't stop him. David Mora, one of the most underrated players in state history. I loved him. He's number 7 on this list. Number 6, Rashad Paul. Bremont quarterback Rashad Paul. If you've ever seen Rashad Paul, I don't think I necessarily need to argue this point. This kid was playing check chess while everyone else was playing checkers. He was the most dominant player at the 2A level for 3 full seasons. And that's really, really impressive. 47 no starter. No. He's going to be a star at Texas A&M, I'm sure of it. He's number 6. Number 5, and this was tough. It's tough ordering these two. These are basically 5A and 5B.
Give him the nod for being at the big school, right?
Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Quarterback at Allen, goes 42-0 as a starter. And really, yeah, you're exactly right. The only tiebreaker here is that he did at the 6A level. That's basically the only tiebreaker. But what I think is really impressive about Kyler Murray was that he was not – he had a knack for the big play, and it wasn't always with his legs.
Right.
Like, he would come up with the big throw, too. And I think he gets this knock at – not knock, that's wrong. But this guy is like, oh, he's a runner. He's a runner.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, he's a great runner.
Right.
But the thing that sets him apart was that he was also a terrific passer. I mean, for his career, I want to see this. I mean, Kyler Murray had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th all-time in career passing yards. You don't do that on accident.
Right.
And so I know that, like, people are going to remember him for the incredible runs, but what I will always remember him for is him using his legs to then extend plays to make a great throw.
Yeah.
And that's what really impressed me about Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's number 5 on my most impressive high school football players since 2011. Number 4, Stanford wide receiver James Washington. I mentioned before chess and checkers. James Washington, when he played at Stanford in what was then 1A, he was so far and away the best player on the field that it just jumped out at you and you go, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
He's the best player on the field. He did it offense. He did it defense. He was an unguardable player as a wide receiver. He was a dynamo safety, which really goes I think, under-remembered. That guy was incredible. James Washington, it's no surprise that he's doing what he's doing at Oklahoma State. He was awesome at Stanford. He's number 4 on my list. Number 3, Fort Bend Hightower quarterback Braylon Addison. I mentioned that he's a top 3 guy. The top 3 were really hard to rank, but number 3, Braylon Addison, the thing that always impressed me, first of all, taking them to that 2012 title game, I think it was.
Sounds right.
2012 title game. He was, I don't want to knock that Hightower team because that defense was pretty good.
Yeah.
They were there because of him.
Yeah, he's a force of nature.
He's a force of nature, and the thing that I always, which they're the Hurricanes. The thing that always impressed me about Braylon Addison is that he would carry the ball so much as a runner, and he'd take hits as a passer, and he always took hits on his own terms. He had a knack for when he knew he was going to get hit, he would kind of lean into it and make sure he didn't get hurt. His mobility and his ability to take a smart hit is always stood out to me. That kid was incredible. Incredible. The 3rd most impressive player I've ever seen. Number 2.
After my own heart here.
Fairfield running back Larry Rose III. And I only saw 2 of his games. But in both of those games, you just looked at him and you just said that kid's a transcendent player.
Right.
And what's funny is that okay. You talk about taking over a game, and it's hard to do that at the running back spot because everyone's keying on you.
Yeah.
He would take over a game. And what Larry Rose III was able to do at Fairfield, guiding them to within a whisker of a state championship, is so impressive to me. And I will always hold up. I mean, just a home run hitter of the highest order. He would find a little crease and he was gone.
Yep.
Loved Larry Rose III. Loved him to death. And the number 1 most impressive player I've ever seen in high school football, Jonathan Gray, the running back from Aledo. He was the complete running back. He had power, he had speed, he had elusiveness, he could catch out of the backfield, he could do it all. He could be the home run threat, he could be the workhorse, he could do it all. He was the most complete player I've ever seen in high school football. It's a shame that he battled through injuries and it looks like his football career is kind of coming to a close. But this kid, I will always remember just him being that workhorse behind ultimately getting this Aledo dynasty off the ground.
Right.
I mean, he is the baseline by which I think running backs of the modern era have to be measured against because he was so incredible at Aledo. So that's my top 10 list of most impressive high school football players I've ever seen. What do you think? Let us know.
It's a pretty good list.
Hashtag DCTFL. I think it's okay. I know there's probably the thing is when you limit it to 10, there are guys that I can think of right now that I'm leaving off. Monday quarterback DePaul, like immediately I remember him. You know, I'm leaving him up. What Charlie Brewer did. I only saw Charlie Brewer once, which is a little bit of a part of the reason that I'm hesitant. But Charlie Brewer, what he did at Lake Travis. And I'm sure some of the guys you saw at Lake Travis.
It would be the funniest thing is when I started thinking about this. The hardest. How do you pick one quarterback from Lake Travis? I mean, they had 4 that were amazing. Baker was pretty special. Like right out of the gate, he kind of blew you away with his elusiveness. Like his feel for the game was crazy.
Like here's an interesting thing. I didn't name a Katy running back. Yeah. And it's kind of like the Lake Travis quarterback. It's like, okay, do you go with Rodney Anderson?
Yeah.
Do you go with Kyle Porter?
If I had to pick one player that I felt like was like special and unique and they didn't have anyone else like it would probably be Andy Erickson. I mean, they never had anyone that fast, that strong, and he wasn't a big guy, you know, but he was so key to what they were doing. I remember talking to Chad Morris about him before his senior year and just being like, can't teach speed, man.
Nope.
You know, like I love him because I can't teach anyone else to do what he does. I would probably say the 2 most impressive that I saw in person were Manziel, which, as I will tell everyone, like one of my favorite like Trivial Pursuit facts about my life is the only times I ever saw Manziel were the times he lost football games. I never saw him win a football game.
You were the curse.
Yeah. And then I would probably say that the player that I was most consistently wowed by was Malcolm Brown.
Yeah. I mean, that's another guy's like.
That up here,
Steele,
you don't see him as much, but if you were down there in the Central Texas, San Antonio area, he was a man amongst boys. I mean, he's running for 300 yards a game in a spread-heavy era and carrying 5-6 guys on his back sometimes. I mean, he was really – it was amazing to watch in person because he just seemed like – I don't know. He really – genuinely, that man amongst boys thing is like Ed Oliver, right? You looked at him and you're like, he should be in college.
You know what's funny? It's because I made the point yesterday. Remember Henry Enoch, the running back at Yoga?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, I mean that's that man among boys.
Right.
But the thing was, we saw him do that in one game. Malcolm Brown did that for a couple of years. It was really impressive. So that's my list.